In this lecture, I will explain some grammar and spelling pitfalls that are very common in scientific writing. Perhaps grammar is not your favorite topic, but believe me, you will recognize these pitfalls easily once you have grasped the point. These are the topics I will explain in this lecture. That or which and why, ambiguous or vague antecedents, and 3 common word use errors. Let's start off with the that which problem, which is related to the nature of the clause it introduces. Is the clause essential or not? This is quite easy to establish. Consider these 2 sentences. Together, they illustrate an important difference in sentence structure that is related to the use of which and that. Now, read with me. Land that is surrounded by water is an island. Tasmania, which is surrounded by the waters of Bass Strait, is a beautiful island. At first sight, these sentences have a similar structure, right? But if you look closely, you will notice there is a difference. Can you find it? Or in other words, can you point at an important difference between the that clause and the which clause? Take a minute to consider this question. If you wish, you can pause the video. Here is the answer. In the first sentence, the clause that is introduced by that is clearly essential. You cannot leave it out. Otherwise, the sentence would read, land is an island, which is obviously nonsense. The clause in the second sentence, though, that starts up with which, can be missed. Tasmania is a beautiful island. Sure. The clause that is inserted, the which clause, is just an extra, an extension. But we could do without, we could miss it. So typically, essential sentences are signaled by that, and non-essential sentences are signaled by which. An extra signal for this essential or non-essential thing is the use of commas. Essential clauses take no commas because the reader should not pause and should include the information in the overall message. The commas in the non-essential sentence signal that the reader might take a break or even jump over the clause if she wishes, and she should just focus on the main clause. So, what's the problem? Why are the 2 often confused? Well, unfortunately in British English, the distinctive use of which and that in essential clauses is less strict. So in the UK they use both. In American English this is different. That and which are strictly assigned to non-essential or essential use. This means that the American way is approved by the British too. And to profit from the signaling force of the distinctive use, using that for essential and which for non-essential clauses is absolutely the best solution. Now let's see if you have grasped the point. Take a minute to decide which sentence is the which and which is the that, so to say. You can pause the video now. Well, I hope you succeeded here. Note that the melody of the sentence differs between the 2 structures. I'll try to demonstrate this. The estrogen that is present in most birth control pills is ethinyl estradiol. The estrogen drug ethinyl estradiol, which is present in most birth control pills, is only slightly different from endogenous estradiol. And if this all went a bit too fast, you can check it out again through this link with different examples. On to the second pitfall, ambiguous or vague antecedents. An antecedent is the noun, pronoun, or clause that a pronoun, such as this, that, which, he, she, it, refers to. The antecedent, from the Latin antecedere, to go before, usually appears in the same sentence or in a previous sentence. Each pronoun should clearly refer to one specific antecedent. Take a look at the following sentences and try to figure out what goes wrong. The second study was designed to enroll 2,000 more participants than the first study, and it tested 3 dose levels of the study drug. And the second sentence? Patients with a latent infection may need to be monitored for several months because they are at risk of developing the active form of the disease, which diminishes over time. Pause the video for a minute and try to identify the flaws. Now, you will probably have noticed that the pronouns it in the first sentence and the which in the second sentence can point back at several nouns or clauses. The sentences are ambiguous. The corrections here show these flaws can often be repaired in several ways by rearranging the sentences. For example, correction 1. The second study, which tested 3 dose levels of the study drug, was designed to enroll 2,000 more participants than the first study. Or, correction 2. The second study, designed to enroll 2,000 more participants than the first study, tested 3 dose levels of the study drug. And here, in the first correction, the added noun risk makes the meaning clear. Patients with a latent infection may need to be monitored for several months because they are at risk of developing the active form of the disease. This risk diminishes over time. In the second correction, a noun phrase replaces the original pronoun. The need to monitor these patients diminishes over time. The third correction is the most extensive revision. As the risk diminishes over time, so too does the need to monitor these patients. So, taking this all together, you should keep the following in mind. Be especially careful with the pronouns this, that, it, and which, to ensure that the reader will be able to identify the antecedent. Correct vague pronoun antecedents by turning the pronoun into an adjective, or by replacing the pronoun with a noun or a noun phrase, or by revising the sentence more extensively. Now I will give 3 examples of frequent mistakes in word usage. Just what is the difference between affect and effect? These 2 words are homonyms, words that sound alike but have different meanings. In this case, only one letter sets them apart. And to add to the confusion, both words can function as a noun or a verb. Knowing when to use each in a particular sentence can be a challenge. Affect with an A is most commonly used as a verb, and affect with an E is most commonly used as a noun. The verb affect means to act on or to influence. So, for example, drug A affected symptom severity. Whereas the noun effect means an outcome, influence, or consequence. Drug B has no effect on glucose levels. You can also try the following memory aid for affect as a verb and affect as a noun. A person or object acts on something, affects, both with an A. A person or object causes an event, an effect, both with an E. The abbreviations IE and EG are Latin expressions that are often used in English writing. But authors sometimes use the IE where EG is required and vice versa. So, which abbreviation is which? This usage tip explains the difference. The abbreviation IE introduces specific information that includes all possibilities. The abbreviation EG, however, introduces one or more examples from a larger set of possibilities. Inadvertently using one abbreviation when the other is intended is a common error. Here is an example for IE, which means that is. None of the regions tested, i.e. hypothalamus, thalamus, spinal cord, contained these cells. And here an example for EG, which means, for example, students may take one social science course, e.g. psychology, sociology, linguistics, and one physical science course, e.g. geology, physics, astronomy. So, if you introduce a list with e.g., do not conclude it with etc. or and so forth. The abbreviation e.g. already indicates that some items will not be listed. Also, style guides differ in how IE and EG should be treated, italicized or not, with or without periods, always abbreviated or only abbreviated in parentheses and tables. No matter which style you use, be consistent. Incidence and prevalence are statistical measures of disease occurrence. Although these two words are closely related, they are not synonymous. If you find these terms confusing, you are not alone. This word usage tip reviews the correct use of this troublesome word pair. Incidence means the number of new cases of a specific disease in a given population over time. So, for example, the incidence rate for asthma increased from 38 cases per 100,000 in 1990 to 40 cases per 100,000 in 1991. Prevalence means the number of existing cases of a specific disease in a given population at any given time, regardless of when the disease developed. The prevalence of HIV infection in young adults aged 21 to 24 years was 0.1% in the United States in 2004. Incidence refers to new cases, whereas prevalence refers to existing cases. Also, period prevalence is the number of existing cases during a particular period of time, whereas point prevalence is the number of existing cases on a particular date. And that concludes this video. Several examples in this lecture are taken from this website, so if you would like more grammar tips for scientific writing, you can follow this link. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope this video will help you avoid these grammar pitfalls in the future.